this year. With all his schoolwork, he's become a veritable whirlwind.
There are 20 school supplies on this list, and by number 1, you're going to want to call your mom and ask what happened to your old backpack. Let's go back to school. 20. Every desk had an army of googly-eyed troll pencil toppers by 1993, their neon hair sticking straight up no matter how many times you tried to flatten it. Teachers eventually banned them because kids spent more time flicking the hair back and forth than actually doing math. 19. The pop of 100 Bic round stick caps coming off during a test was basically the school's second bell. Somehow, yours always ran out of ink exactly during the essay question. 18. Metal lunchboxes with your favorite cartoon character stamped on the front were a status symbol before backpacks even mattered, and the matching thermos inside was basically part of the deal. By the 2000s, plastic soft-sided lunch bags quietly replaced every single one of them, and nobody ever really announced why. 17. For a few years, rainbow Brite folders and notebooks were everywhere a Lisa Frank folder wasn't. Then the show ended, and the supplies vanished just as fast as the cartoon did. 16. Before printed book covers existed, you were folding a paper grocery bag around your textbook by hand. Then stretchy fabric covers showed up promising one size fits all, and folding a book cover by hand became a lost art overnight. 15. You could fold a cootie catcher out of a single sheet of notebook paper in under 2 minutes flat. Every classroom had at least one kid who swore theirs could actually predict the future. 14. Erasable pens promised you could write in pen and erase your mistakes just like a pencil, which sounded like magic to anyone still terrified of messing up a worksheet. The ink famously smudged into a gray cloud the second you actually tried it, which somehow didn't stop anyone from buying them anyway. 13. A Jansport backpack wasn't just a backpack, it was a walking bulletin board for band patches, pins, keychains, and Sharpie doodles from every friend who signed it. The more beat up and covered in stuff yours was by June, the cooler it somehow made you. 12. Caboodles were plastic makeup and treasure boxes that somehow ended up holding pencils, stickers, and secret notes passed in class. If you had one, you know it doubled as a small locked vault of middle school secrets. 11. Puffy Stickers turned any notebook cover into a three-dimensional art project. You peeled the plastic backing off so carefully it was basically a surgical procedure. That's halfway. If none of these have gotten you yet, the back half is where it actually hurts. 10. Silly bands turned your entire forearm into a shape-collecting billboard. The idea actually started in Japan as animal-shaped rubber bands meant to stop people from throwing rubber bands away before an Ohio company supersized them into an American schoolyard obsession. Multiple states banned them outright, and doctors even warned that kids stacking dozens up one arm were cutting off their own circulation. 9. The bump-top Rubbermaid Spacemaker Pencil Box was the only one that could survive being dropped off the top shelf of a locker. Rubbermaid stopped making them years ago, and there's still a small but stubborn second-hand market for a used one on eBay and Etsy. If you kept yours, it's probably worth more now than it cost you back then. 8. A Gold Star Scratch-n-sniff sticker wasn't just a reward, it was an event. Half the class would ask to smell it before you even made it back to your seat, and by the time it reached the back row, the scent was basically gone. If you think this is just a nostalgia list right now, wait until number 1, because it's not what you think. 7. Somewhere down a school hallway was a literal vending machine that took a quarter and dropped out a brand new pencil. Nobody remembers who refilled it, but everybody remembers the specific thunk it made when your pencil finally dropped. 6. Yikes! Pencils and erasers were the wildest, wackiest designs a school desk ever saw, all warped shapes and neon colors that looked more like toys than office supplies. A single vintage set still sells for $15 or more on eBay, which is a real markup for something that used to cost less than $1. 5. Sakura, a Japanese company, spent years failing to invent the first gel ink pen, testing everything from agar to egg whites before finally cracking the formula in the early 1980s. Jelly Roll pens hit US shelves in 1989 and quickly became one of the most fought-over items in anyone's pencil case. 4. Years after the original disappeared from backpacks, Mead brought the Trapper Keeper back as a case for tablets and iPads, complete with the same colorful spirit but a modern magnetic flap. It proved the design never actually went out of style. The technology around it just did. 3. The Trapper Keeper wasn't just a folder. It was full-blown social currency in the hallway. Ever since Mead first launched it in 1978, it actually started with a quiet metal snap, switched to that iconic Velcro rip a few years in to make manufacturing easier, and then went right back to a snap after teachers got fed up with the noise disrupting class. 2. Mr. Sketch scented markers mapped a real smell to every single color, and you knew them all by heart. Black was licorice, brown was cinnamon, and you could name half the set with your eyes closed before the cap even came off. Somehow, the smell test never got old, no matter how many times you'd already done it that year. Number 1 belonged to almost every girl's backpack, and it's got a much stranger story than you'd expect. Lisa Frank founded her company in Tucson, Arizona in 1979, and her folders, notebooks, and trapper keepers covered in rainbow leopards and dolphins defined an entire aesthetic for over a decade. In fact, some of the wildest trapper keeper designs you just heard about back at number 3 were actually licensed straight from Lisa Frank herself. But behind the neon color and glitter, a 2013 investigation quoted former employees describing a company culture so strict and controlling that the piece was titled "Inside the Rainbow Gulag." The brand that built its entire identity on being the happiest thing in your backpack was, according to those former employees, one of the least happy places to work behind the scenes. So call your mom, ask her what happened to that old backpack. Scroll back up to whichever number made you gasp, and tell us in the comments which one of these 20 you still own somewhere in a closet.